All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about crisis, specifically how we react to a crisis. Because, our reaction to uncertainty, it can either sink us completely, or if we have the right mindset, it can actually guide us to something much, much stronger.
I mean, we've all felt this, right? The future just feels like this dense fog. And when everything's unstable, forget about it. Predicting what's next is practically impossible. So what do? Our first instinct is to just brace for impact, assuming the big bad threat is somewhere out.
But here's the big question. What if the crisis isn't something we just predict? What if it's something we actually create? I'm talking about the story we tell ourselves inside our own heads. A story that, and this is the scary part, can actually make itself come true. Okay, so to really get our heads around this, let's look at a simple little story. It's about a hot dog vendor, but it perfectly explains this very human thing we all do. So picture this. There's this guy, right? He sells hot dogs by the side of the road. And he's not just phoning it in. This guy is all in. He's got signs up, he's shouting out to people, he's really passionate about his work.
And guess what? It worked. Business was great. It was booming. And what did he do with the profits? He put them right back into the business. He bought the best bread, the best sausages, maybe even a bigger grill. Things were going really, really well.
And then something changes. His son comes home. This is his highly educated son, mind you, fresh out of college with a degree, and he's got a warning for his dad.
He says, "Father, don't you see what's happening? There's a huge crisis coming." He's read all the expert opinions, he knows the economy is shaky, and he's convinced that everything is about to get really, really bad.
So the father, he listens, and he thinks to himself, my son is smart. He's educated. He must know what he's talking about. And just like that, the seed of fear is planted. He decides he's got to cut back, prepare for the worst.
So what does he do? He starts buying cheaper bread, worse sausages. He stops shouting about how good his hot dogs are. He takes down his signs. All that energy and quality that made his business a success, it's just gone, replaced by fear.
And the result? Well, it was totally predictable. His sales just plummeted. Of course they did. And pretty soon, the business failed completely.
And here's the really tragic part. The father turns to his son and says, "You were right. We really are in a great crisis." He completely misses the point. He didn't just experience the crisis, he caused it.
So let's break this down. What really happened here? Because this isn't just a sad little story. It's actually a perfect illustration of a really powerful psychological trap, one that affects all of us, from our personal lives right up to the global economy.
This whole thing has a name. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. It starts with a false idea, right? Like, there's a crisis coming, so my business is going to fail. Then that false idea makes you change your behavior. You start cutting corners. And in the end, that new behavior is what makes the original false idea come true. See how that works?
And Einstein, of all people, really hit the nail on the head here. The father's theory was that a crisis was happening. So that theory became a filter. When his sales dropped, he didn't think, oh, it must be these terrible sausages. No, he thought, see, proof, the crisis is real. His theory decided what he was able to see.
So this really gives us two clear paths, two ways to respond. There's the fear response. That's what the hot dog guy did. You retreat, you cut back, you only see problems everywhere. But then there's the trust response. And let's be super clear. This is not about just being naively optimistic. It's about making strategic changes, looking for opportunities, and acting with confidence, even when things are uncertain.
Okay, that sounds great, but how do we actually do that? How do we choose trust when our gut is screaming fear? Well, there's a really cool mental model that can help us figure this out.
It comes down to this simple little equation. Trust plus control is a constant. Think about it like a seesaw. If trust goes up on one side, your need for control can go down on the other. But if trust is low, what happens? You feel this overwhelming need to grab the wheel, to increase your level of control to make up for it.
And you can see how this plays out right here. Look, if you have high trust, you can get away with low control. That's the sweet spot, right? That's autonomy and freedom. But if you have low trust and low control, whoa, that's dangerous. That's just chaos. So in a low-trust situation, you actually need more control. The key isn't to always have less control, but to have the right amount of control for the level of trust you're working with.
So, If we know that trust is the antidote to this self-fulfilling crisis, the billion-dollar question is, how do you build it? Well, turns out there's a roadmap for that. It's a framework of what are called the 7 C's.
And listen, this isn't just some fluffy, nice-to-have skill. It's the skill. Stephen M.R. Covey put it perfectly. He said that being able to build, grow, and even fix trust, that's the #1 most important leadership skill in today's world, especially when things get rocky.
So here they are, the 7 C's of trust. It all starts with consciousness, being aware. Then you need clarity in what you say, commitment to follow through, and you have to engage people. And then it's about coherence, making sure it all makes sense, and consistency, doing it over and over again. All of that together builds the 7th C, courage.
And that last one, courage. Man, that's the one that holds it all together. Because let's be honest, choosing to trust when everyone around you is freaking out, that is not easy. It takes real, deliberate effort. You know, there's this great John Wayne quote. Courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about being scared to death and saddling up anyway. The hot dog vendor, he was scared. And that's okay. That's human. Real courage would have been feeling that fear and still going out and buying the best sausages. It's about acting despite the fear, not because you don't have any.
So, this brings us full circle. There will always be another crisis on the horizon. That's just a fact of life. The only real question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let fear convince you to sell a worse sausage and basically create your own failure? Or are you going to find the courage to saddle up, build a better business, and write a completely different story? It's your call.